only discovered just a couple weeks ago, and discussion of Clark is continuing to grow as we slowly discover more and more about it. Something important to note about this comet is that unlike most comets, which are slower moving and easier to track, Clark is not a singular comet, rather it is made up of hundreds of pieces of rock and ice that have collected over millions of years. In fact, Clark's fragment tail is so long that astronomers have not been able to find the endpoint of it. While exact trajectories of Clark are still yet to be determined, it's quite evident that Clark is a comet unlike no other. NASA and other civil space programs around the world are gathering together to conduct research as a collective in an attempt to gather more information on Clark, and to continue to track and document a once-in-a-lifetime celestial object.
This is our first status reporting on the recently discovered cluster of comets that has been named Clark. We were able to photograph some of the fragments of Clark earlier today. For convenience and to clear up any confusion, the celestial body has been separated into three groups. The fastest moving comet in the body has been named 22C1. The family of comets has been dubbed 22FC. The largest comet of the cluster has been named Clark. We've been documenting its trajectory and have some concerning points to take note of. As of 2:38 a.m., September 24th, 2020, 22C1 was reported to be traveling over 150,000 miles per hour. This is not a precise estimate, so this could be moving faster than we think. 22FC is not far behind either. We are estimating that 22C1 will impact the Gulf of Mexico, a few hundred miles from the coastline. Possible tsunamis may form from this impact, which may prompt an evacuation order for some areas on the coastlines of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, and some areas in Mexico. As for 22FC, possible outcomes are still being determined. It is believed that it will not impact the Earth, and will most likely skim by. In the event that multiple dozen comets from 22FC impact the Earth, this could lead to mass destruction across the entire world. The most devastating of these outcomes, however, is the possible impact of Clark itself. In rough measurements, Clark has been measured to be 9 miles wide. An impact of that magnitude could very well lead to the end of civilization as we know it. The impact itself would leave a giant crater spanning for hundreds, possibly thousands of miles outward. The debris and dust kicked up by the comet would block out the sun for years to come, leading to a post-apocalyptic environment for the rest of the survivors who weren't immediately killed. The situation right now is, to say the least, bleak and uncertain. Research is still being conducted day and night, and we will continue to keep you informed on the latest information regarding Clark. We hope you find the information in this broadcast useful.
This message is being broadcast at the request of the United States Department of Homeland Security. It is not a test. You have been selected for government relocation. Please gather with your family and await further instructions. This is not a test.
Seismic activity warning. Seismic activity warning. This is not a drill. The U.S. Geological Survey has detected a seismic threat to Tampa and surrounding areas. The 22C1 comet has impacted the city of Tampa, sparking major dangerous seismic activity in the area. Residents in this area should brace for the following: earthquakes caused by direct impact or violent shaking caused by the shockwave of the impact. The the outage of power due to industrial damage from the comet, wildfires from the heat of the collision, or tsunamis generated by the seismic activity caused from 22C1. In the event of any of these, you need to be prepared to evacuate or shelter in place at a moment's notice. Residents not already experiencing these disasters are advised to evacuate the area immediately. Avoid areas near Tampa, as these areas will likely be directly affected by the impact or the mentioned disasters. For those who are currently experiencing the mentioned effects, listen carefully to the following portion of this message. To those experiencing an earthquake, get on the ground and grab onto something. Get under a workbench or other piece of sturdy furniture, and use your free hand to protect your neck. Do not sit under bridges, highway overpasses, or corridors, as these will likely collapse and cause serious injury or death to those under them. The safest place to be during an earthquake is outside, away from unsturdy trees, cars, or buildings. If you are within the path of a wildfire, get out of the path immediately. Do not waste any time saving non-essential items or persons. If it isn't breathing, leave it be. The only items that should be prioritized during evacuation are living beings such as family or relatives, and important documents, such as proof of property ownership or insurance. When driving, avoid areas where you can view or smell the smoke, as smoke often kills in a fire more than the inferno itself, as it can cook the lung or cause massive damage due to the chemicals within the smoke. A tsunami watch is in effect for the entire west coast of Florida, including Tampa, until tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. While the threat of a tsunami may not be imminent, you should tune to stations and news outlets for any updates on tsunami or seismic development. In the event of a real tsunami, remember to get to the highest point you can in a sturdy structure. Do not attempt to evacuate unless you're already decently far away from the impact area of a tsunami, as if not, you will likely be killed upon the impact of the tsunami. You are advised to stay tuned to media outlets for further information and developments on this situation. This was a civil danger warning from the emergency alert system serving Tampa and surrounding areas. This broadcast will now cease transmission.
This is a presidential alert for Michael Joseph Porter. You have been selected for military relocation. Please gather. Mary Alice Porter. Corey Porter. You are allowed one personal bag for you and your party. There are no exceptions to this. Please report to Robbins Air Force Base by 9:30 p.m. tonight. Should you not be there, you will be left behind. A QR code has been sent to your device. Please confirm that you have received the message by reading it. You will scan this QR code to be allowed entrance. If you do not have your QR code present with you on arrival, you will be denied entry. Once you are inside the base, there is no turning back. Please follow these instructions in an orderly and civil manner. This message will be repeated.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is a level 3 mandatory evacuation for the Tampa St. Petersburg metropolitan area. An extremely dangerous meteorological event is taking place within the Tampa St. Petersburg metropolitan area. Multiple fragments of rock have begun impacting the general area as a result of the original comet impact in Tampa, Florida. Numerous casualties along with structure, vehicle and forestry damage have already been reported in the direct impact radius. Sheltering in place has been deemed unsafe and all residents must evacuate the area immediately. If you choose to not evacuate, you will be facing extreme danger to your life. Do not take any items with you. Leave now following Interstate 75 towards Lake City. If you are unable to evacuate, call 911 immediately. Refugee centers have been set up and will provide essentials for civilians. These shelters have limited capacity and supplies, and once they reach their limit you will be denied entry. If you do not require refuge, do not arrive at these centers and arrive at your chosen place of refuge. Further information will be relayed as it becomes available. Please remain tuned to news media outlets and official radio sources for further instructions and updates on this current situation. This is a level 3 mandatory evacuation for the Tampa St. Petersburg metropolitan area. An extremely dangerous meteorological event is taking place within the Tampa St. Petersburg metropolitan area. Multiple fragments of rock have begun impacting the general area as a result of the original comet impact in Tampa, Florida. Evacuate immediately. Do not hesitate. Leave now.
This is an urgent emergency broadcast at the request of the Georgia Department of Emergency Management. The surrounding areas of Houston County have devolved into chaos and are out of local police control. Multiple cases of looting and robberies have been reported throughout the state of Georgia, as well as the destruction of private property, leading to a dangerous situation for the residents of the affected areas. In order to protect yourself and your family, you must stay inside and protect yourself by any means necessary. You should not go outside unless you have a medical emergency that requires you to travel outdoors. In addition, the 911 telephone lines are experiencing an outage due to the extreme influx of calls. Should you have an emergency, do not call 911. You should either contact your local police department or the police department of a surrounding area. To repeat, the 911 telephone lines are down. You will not get a response from them. Contact your local authorities or the police departments for surrounding areas close to you. Your military has been dispatched to the most affected cities and areas in order to control the situation. You should continue to remain indoors until your local authorities send out an all-clear message. Again, do not go outdoors or travel anywhere outdoors unless you have a medical emergency that requires you to travel. You will be putting your life in danger should you not heed this warning. Do not call the 911 telephone line as it is experiencing a high influx of calls. You will not get a response from them. We thank you for your cooperation.
Code Red site-wide emergency. As of 2100 hours, a breach to the Robbins Air Force Base has been confirmed. Several unselected civilians have been spotted entering the grounds of the base and attempting to board aircraft reserved for those selected for relocation. Many of these civilians are armed and extremely dangerous to staff and the selected alike. This is not a drill. At this time, all members of the armed forces on site must report to the west sector of the base to gather weapons and armor. Those already geared up should report to the east sector of the base to detain breachers. You are allowed to engage hostile breachers with deadly force. To any and all pilots currently aboard aircraft, close the cargo doors to the aircraft and make sure all selected are safe. Do not let anyone on until the breach has been contained, even if they were selected for relocation. To any members who are not piloting an aircraft or engaging hostiles, gather those selected for relocation and evacuate immediately. Report to your lieutenant, sergeant, or captain for sites seized by the government to house evacuees. If you have been selected for relocation yourself, ignore attempting to combat breachers, and only attempt to evacuate other selectees to safe. Site-wide emergency. This is a code red site-wide emergency. Several explosions have been reported in the northern sector of the facility. These explosions appear to have been caused by the breachers damaging the gas tanks of the aircraft. Anyone on site should evacuate immediately, as the site is now unsafe for transporting those selected for relocation. To all on-site pilots aboard an aircraft, abandon the aircraft immediately and safely get all civilians out of the craft. Report to your lieutenant, sergeant, or captain for sites seized by the government to house evacuees. If you have been selected for relocation yourself, ignore attempting to combat the flames or help breachers, and only attempt to evacuate other selectees to safezons. If you cannot make it a safe zone in time, attempt to get up to 2 miles away from the facility, as this is the safest distance to prevent fire injury and avoid debris from the exploding aircraft. To any reserve soldiers not engaging hostiles, you are now commanded to abandon your post and assist in evacuating residents. Only bring important military documents when evacuating, and abandon everything else, including the possessions of the selected. Emergency first responders will be arriving on scene shortly to contain the flames. Do not go near the flames, as there are likely several toxic chemicals within its smoke. Should the flames spread, a local emergency broadcast may need to be issued, and evacuation routes may change. If a safezon you were taking evacuees to catch fire, immediately abandon it and evacuate elsewhere, be it a police, fire, or medical station. If any breachers attempt to stop you from evacuating those selected, do not hesitate to kill them, as full permission to use lethal force has been granted. Do not let anything stop you. Evacuate the Robbins Air Force Base now. This message will now cease, and communications within the base will go offline.
Chicken.